Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in downtown Kernersville. We hope you'll visit them. We'll tell you more about them later on in the program, and later on, by the way, is when the roundtable shows up and we'll get into all sorts of controversial topics, so stay tuned for that. Great guests, great information coming to you within the half hour, so I hope you'll be with us the whole time. Where we want to start, though, is with a new survey. I think it's pretty interesting. Maybe it's because of my advanced age, but I think it's pretty interesting. With us is our good friend now, Mark Hensley. He's Associate State Director for Community Outreach and Advocacy for AARP of North Carolina. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Jim.
This is called Age My Way. That's the title of it. Age My Way, North Carolina Survey. What's that all about?
It is a statewide survey that we are currently collecting responses to. This is a partnership between the Governor's Office, or Governor's Hometown Strong, the Department of Health and Human Services, and AARP, because we want to find out how people feel about their community as they age.
A lot of people, have people calling them on the phone or sending them things. We're doing this survey, we're doing that survey, and you never know how it's going to be used or will it do any good. But you've thought this thing out pretty good, and what's your goal to this? What's your objective to it?
So our goal is we want to get at least 5,000 North Carolinians to give us their opinion about how they view their community. Not just problems, but also what is good. So this is broken into really 8 sectors. So things like housing, transportation, but parks, walkability, bikeability, because a livable community is a community that's built and structured for people at all ages.
Now, why is this so important to the state? Not just now, but in the future. Why is it important to do this survey?
Well, the first reason, you said it's personal to you. If you're here, you're aging. First of all, North Carolina is a great place to live, and the demographics are showing that. We are the 9th state in population, but we are the 8th state people 65 and older. And that trend is growing. Right now, there's about 1 person 65 and older for every 5 people. By 2028, it will be 1 in 5 people that are 65 and older. And by 2030, actually, we will have more people 65 and older than 18 and younger.
But I think you sent me an email one day about, because I was going to ask you who's eligible to fill out this survey. And I thought you were going to say, well, you have to be 65 or you have to be 55. Not so.
Not so. AARP did a survey a couple of years ago and found out that people age 45 and people age 75 want the same thing. They need affordable housing. They want a lifelong home. They want to stay in their community because they're staying where they want to retire in their community. So the requirement is we want people age 45 and older to anonymously do this survey. The only information we gather that's specific is your zip code.
So it's sort of confidential. Is this going to take a long time for me to fill out if I sit down and do it?
It's online. It takes about 20 minutes. And we ask people to you can take it on your smartphone. I'm going to ask you to have your staff put up the link, but if you just Google Age My Way NC, one word,
okay,
the survey pops up, or the bit.ly link that's on the screen can access it. And it's also available at any senior center in North Carolina. You can fill it out in paper.
So you said Age My Way NC. Now, I always look at things in terms of website. I'm not up on the technology like you are, but yeah, there is a bit.ly/Age My Way NC, but as you said, just go to Age My Way NC. Also, since we're doing this, let me put up aarp.org/NC. That's the general AARP website. I assume if you go to that, maybe I'm making the wrong assumption, if you go to the main AARP website, can you get your way to this?
You are absolutely correct. There is a link there as well.
Is there a deadline that we have to complete this by?
So this survey is open until actually the end of July, or July the 30th. So I'm asking your viewers, first of all, take the survey, and I hope you and your staff will do that. Secondly, share this with a neighbor, a family member, a friend, because we need to get as many responses as possible. This is data that will shape a long-range aging plan for North Carolina, the first ever.
It's very important, and I will definitely take it. I'm 69 years old. The crew here, all of them are over 90. You might be surprised to know that. They're laughing with disdain. All right, Mark, thanks for doing this. Seriously, this is going to be a great survey.
Yes.
And when you come back again, maybe you can give us an update on some responses.
You got it.
All right. We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, let's talk about community development. And we have two gentlemen that know all about that subject. With me right now, my immediate right, Jason Norris is Job Development Manager for Triad Goodwill. And Jason brought along a special guest today. Scott Jones is Executive Director of something called Tiny House Community Development. Welcome, guys. Good to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Jason, let me start to you, and then I'll go over to Scott and ask him about his organization. But Jason, tell us about basically the skills training programs that are currently being offered at Triad Goodwill.
Sure. So the skill training programs that we're currently offering at Triad Goodwill are the tiny house construction training class, which leads to the NCCER certification. We also offer a Class A CDL truck driver training program, as well as an HVAC technician program. So those are the skill training programs that we currently offer.
Really covering the bases. All right, now folks are sitting there at home and they're going to see the title come up on Scott, so let's ask him. What is Tiny House Community Development? What's the mission? What is that all about?
Well, we're a 7-year-old nonprofit located in Guilford County, and we currently are working with supportive housing. So we take in individuals, veterans that are experiencing homelessness. We provide them with supportive housing services along with case management on an ongoing basis. And we build tiny houses in communities in High Point, Greensboro, and coming soon, Winston-Salem.
I think that's great. Now, your organization has been heavily invested in, well, there's another way to say it, construction skills. I mean, sort of piggybacking off of what Jason was saying. Why did you decide to do that?
You know, we've seen a great opportunity and a great partnership with just a phenomenal organization like Goodwill that's across the state and across the country that's already been out there doing a lot of the legwork and building rapport and just doing a lot of great work helping individuals. And we've seen where our two nonprofits had similarities and we could mesh and work together to create an opportunity for individuals to learn construction skills, trades, and it's not just building industry. There are so many different technological type things in construction today that students interested in electronics and drones and photography and all kinds of things can get involved in construction field, which is very broad.
Yeah, it is. And let me circle back to you, Jason, picking up on the same thing that Scott was talking about, which is this partnership between you guys. How did that sort of develop? Why was it good to develop it?
One of the things that we do at Goodwill Industries of Central North Carolina is we try to connect with other local nonprofits. You know, I had seen some of the work that Scott was doing, and I thought that it was something I needed to learn more about. Once I learned about what he was doing, it was really a no-brainer. You know, if we kind of teamed up and joined forces, we would be able to broaden our outreach and create more of an impact for the community. And that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Now, what's the best way for people to sign up for some of these skills training things? Is it a seasonal thing? I mean, do you have a deadline? Well, you have to sign up by such and such a date. Is it year round, or what goes on?
Sure. There's a few different ways that individuals can find out more information about each one of our programs. The first way is they can go to our website. Our website is www.triadgoodwill.org.
Right.
They can click on our skill training page, and they'll be able to fill out an interest form and select which program they're interested in. They can also call our main office. Phone number is 336-275-9801.
Okay.
They can also email me directly. My email is jnorris@triadgoodwill.org.
And this is pretty much any time of the year.
Any time of the year. We run these programs every 4 to 8 weeks.
Okay, let me just reiterate, triadgoodwill.org. I want to make sure we have that up on screen. And also, tinyhousesgreensboro.com. There's a plural on houses. tinyhousesgreensboro.com to learn more about that. Guys, I appreciate you doing this. We have just a few seconds left. Quickly, what's gratifying, Scott, about what you do?
To see the takeaway from the students and when they finish the class and know that they're leaving with a certification that they can take across the country to get a job in construction.
Jason.
For me, it's being able to improve lives and enrich communities through the power of work. That's what I think everybody at Goodwill, that's what we strive to do.
Well, I applaud both of you. Thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, and every once in a while we like to check in with the good folks from Cross North Communities for Children. They do great work, and I really mean that. It's a great setting where they help kids, and we have a great guy with us who's doing experiential learning. We're going to find out more about him and what he's doing. Andrew Florence is Director of Experiential Learning for Cross North Communities for Children. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get to something that I want to talk about, which our main topic is going to be about this Miracle Heights Adventures thing, remind everybody what the overall mission for Cross North is and who you serve.
Yeah, so Crossnor is a child welfare agency. We've got 3 campuses, one here in Winston-Salem, one in Avery County, and then one out in Hendersonville. And our mission is to grow healthy futures for children and families.
Now, I think Holly emailed me something about this thing called Miracle Heights Adventures, and I was really excited to learn about that. How does that sort of relate to Crossnor's mission and what you're trying to accomplish overall?
Yeah, so Miracle Heights Adventures, we engage groups in experiential learning activities that embody adventure, build resilience, and empower collective success. And so all of the programs that we provide to the public through our team building and experiential learning activities, we're also incorporating with our children and families across the agency.
Give me some examples of, I think I've seen some video or photos of things that you're doing with the kids outside.
Yeah.
Give me some examples of some of the activities that you do that are under the umbrella of the Miracle Heights Adventures.
Yeah, so on our Winston campus, we have an aerial adventure park that has 33 elements. It has a 600-foot zip line, 2 climbing walls.
Wow.
It's got 2 levels. One's up at 40 feet, the other's at about 15 feet up in the air. We've got a free fall event. We also have a low ropes course. We have an aerial teams course. And so all of these, all this infrastructure is intended to bring groups together to communicate, to build trust, to navigate problem solving, to push ourselves outside of our typical comfort zones and to figure out what's possible for what we can do.
You mentioned a couple of words together. I want to make sure the folks at home are clear on this. The kids that either reside there or you're helping or looking after in the system, is the Miracle Heights Adventures just for them? Is it for other kids that can come from foster homes or whatever and enjoy this? Yeah. Help me understand.
Yeah, I'd be glad to help with that. So we provide adventure-based counseling to all of our youth within our residential foster care program, the kids who are in our outpatient therapy services, and the kids in our community foster care programs. And the Miracle Heights Adventures is really our external facing, and so we're able to work with teams, we're able to work with youth-serving organizations. So it's kind of this, the Miracle Heights Adventures is the external branch of that
I just think that's great. So even like if I'm a foster parent and I hear about Miracle Heights Adventures, I can say, hey, I want to send my child over to do some of these activities.
Yeah, and we work with schools, we've worked with camps, we've worked with all sorts of different groups.
What do you we don't have a few seconds left, very quickly, what do the kids get from this, do you think?
Yeah, the biggest thing is a massive boost of self-esteem. We'd see the kids just have this influx of knowing that they're capable, that they have agency, that they have the ability to make moves and to do what they want with their future.
Gratifying to you to do this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I love it.
I can see it in your face, and I just appreciate what you do. And I want to put up on screen before time gets away, crossnor.org/MHA, which stands for Miracle Heights Adventures, or you can just go to the general website, crossnor.org, representing Crossnor Communities for Children, the great work that everybody does out there, and especially this gentleman, Andrew Florence. Thanks for all you do.
Thanks so much.
We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, and once in a while I like to talk about successful entrepreneurs, and this is one of those times. With me now is a returning guest that we really lean on for great information. She is an inspiration to lots of entrepreneurs. Karen Barnes, founder and CEO of Agile City Winston-Salem, and she has brought a special guest with her today. Jeff Livesey is founder and CEO of something called Copy Forward. Good to see both of you.
Thanks, Jim.
Karen, let's sort of do our thing here before we get to Jeff. Just remind people what Agile City is all about, what the mission is, and how it's appropriate to have Jeff here.
Absolutely. So Agile City is a nonprofit, what's called an entrepreneurial support organization. And one of our signature programs is a grant program. But we're really interested in growing all of the innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem here at the Triad. And the reason I brought my friend Jeff here today is because he has started a really promising, what we call an early stage startup, using some of the latest in blockchain technology, distributed ledger technology, to ensure that artists and creatives actually get to capture the entire value of their work and their assets.
Which they usually don't, Jeff. They usually don't get credit for what they do and lose out on money and that kind of thing, which is fascinating. So explain again, in terms that somebody like me can understand, what Copy Forward is all about.
Sure, Jim. So today in the United States, if a creator sells one of their creative works early in their career, let's say for $800, and then they spend their lifetime building their brand and increasing the value of their later works, if that asset is resold by the first buyer for 10, 20, 30,000, that creator gets exactly nothing. They get only the $800 from the first sale.
Right.
And this is not true in 70 other countries where they have legislated royalties, where the artist gets a % at each resale.
As it should be, because they did the hard work of trying to come up with it. Well, I don't care whether it's somebody writing a novel or coming up with a computer program or whatever. You had the brains to do it, and you ought to be able to reap the benefits later.
That's exactly right. And so there's a huge disparity, a huge inequity for U.S. artists because there is no legislation for royalties here, and it's failed many times in Congress and so forth. And U.S. artists know that musicians get royalties and book authors get royalties, but not fine arts creators.
Give me an example or two when you talk about fine arts so people can understand. There are all sorts of fields and all sorts of ways it can apply. Give me a couple specific examples of people that might benefit from what you're doing.
Well, certainly artists, but any type of a creator. By fine arts, we mean paintings and sculptures, but we're actually not limited to fine arts. Our market is actually any collectible. There's a huge market for sneakers that are modified and they become valuable and they're resold. The person who modifies that is a creator of sorts with their brand and their style.
Now, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are you saying that, for instance, if I'm a painter and I do a nice landscape piece and it's really good and people say, hey, this is great, Jim, and some place buys it for $1,000. And then the following week, they make 1,500 copies, prints of it to sell. I mean, is this the kind of thing you can help each individual with to sort of plan out and look for the pitfalls and then be ready for them?
Yes. One of the very important aspects of Copy Forward is what is called provenance, which means the chain of custody or the chain of ownership. If you don't have a clear chain of custody back to the creator and the owner of the copyrights for that asset, that Picasso or that Jimi Hendrix guitar could be absolutely worthless without verified authentication and provenance.
This is fascinating. We have a few seconds left. How does all this fit with your mission with Agile City?
So Jeff and his team are great examples of finding a problem that is not been solved in the marketplace, may have been solved in some other countries, coming up with a technological solution, offering it up to the marketplace. And what we're really excited about with Jeff and Copy Forward is, although they're pretty early in their entrepreneurial journey, these guys are serial entrepreneurs and they've just won a really nice NC IDEA grant to move to their next phase in their
That's just
startup
fascinating.
journey.
I applaud what you're doing. Up on screen before time gets away from us, agilecity.ws. Check that out. Also, copyforward.io. Is that right?
That's
Copyforward.io. You can learn more about what Jeff was talking about. And a shout out to the good folks, David Mouse and his team at nmar.com for suggesting this segment. To Karen and Jeff, thanks for everything.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to the good folks here at Senior Botanical Garden. Check out the website and the garden itself. Lots of things to do and see out here. Great folks. Before we get to the roundtable, just a sad note to report. Our friend, longtime city council person in Winston-Salem, Jocelyn Johnson, passed away a few days ago. She represented the East Ward for 16 years. She was a guest on Triad Today several times, dating back all the way to 2005. She was 73 years old. Now, to introduce the gang, and then I'm going to ask Keith for a comment about Jocelyn. Of course, Ogie Overman on my right, but always the political left. Don Martin, Dr. Don Martin, who is co-chair of the, vice chair of the Forsyth County Commissioners, and Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Before we get to our topics, Keith, a quick note about Jocelyn Johnson.
Well, I had to work with her when I was at the Urban League, and I can tell you, her concern and care about her community cannot be understated, and she'll be truly missed. I mean, she was someone who truly cared about Winston-Salem, but the people that she served in her district, she was really hands-on with them, and they're going to truly miss her leadership.
A real advocate for them. All right, here's our topics. The first one, in order to promote the purchase of electric vehicles, the government plans to offer free charging stations around the state. In response, and this is a true story, a number of Republican legislators have introduced a bill that would require the state to also offer free gasoline at those same charging locations. If it's good for one, it's good for the other. Guys, if we taxpayers are going to foot the bill for free charging stations, shouldn't those of us with gas cars get free gas fill-ups? Ogie.
That's just frivolous, Jim. That's the most asinine thing the Republicans have done lately. I mean, the whole point is to incentivize electric vehicles. And they're just throwing monkey wrench into the
Don
thing.
Martin.
Well, in some of those stations, I think were planned to be on private property, and that created issues of notifying how much the private enterprise was doing. I think it was way too cumbersome, and I won't use Ogie's word, but I think it was, and it's not going anywhere.
All right, Key.
It's politics at its worst, and we all know what that's about.
All right, there are a growing number of events at elementary schools and public libraries in which drag queens read to children, teach them about gender choices, in some cases having the kids choose their own pronouns and drag queen names, that type of thing. Parents around the country are protesting having drag queens visit schools. Guys, where do you stand on this issue? Ogie.
Well, that's a new one on me, Jim. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I know some drag queens. They're nice guys, but I can see where people might get a little offended by it, but
Especially on the elementary school level. Don Martin, former superintendent of schools, what's your take?
Yeah, I think from schools, you have a captive audience. Students don't have a choice to be there. In fact, they're required by law to be there, and probably don't need to get into that issue in schools. And I would have said no.
All right, because the parents really don't get, in, as far as the school thing, parents don't get asked about it in advance, which upsets them. Keith, what do you think?
I think I'm in the middle. I think that you don't have that with young people, but when you start getting high school age, I think if there's something that you could do to really give people an opportunity as they start to choose what they identify as, that may be okay.
Talk about diversity and tolerance.
Yes.
And what. All right, federal laws ban anyone from purchasing a firearm if they've been convicted of domestic violence against a spouse or a living partner. I'm going to say that again, against a spouse or a living partner who's living with them. Now, if he's convicted of beating up someone he was just dating, he can still buy a gun. This is called the boyfriend loophole. 19 states have closed this loophole. Would you like to see North Carolina do the same thing? So if somebody beats up some woman that he's dating and gets convicted, he cannot buy a firearm.
I thought that was going to be covered on the bill that's moving through the Senate now on the federal level. Am I wrong about that?
I think they're trying, but you know the states have controlled this so far, and you would think that each state would sort of chip
Well,
in.
I think
you know,
it definitely should be federal.
Don.
The boyfriend loophole should be
Yeah.
closed.
I agree.
Key.
I think that if you beat someone up, you should actually be in jail and not should be allowed to get out if you're beating up females. So the loophole definitely should be closed regardless if you're in a marriage or in a relationship.
All right. Now, let's talk about voting and registration. About 19 point something or other % of people voted in the recent primary last month. It's up a little bit from the last midterm, but not good. Think about that. 19% of people. So 81% didn't even show up to vote. Guys, we know that senior citizens showed up in twice the number as people under 40. Are you surprised at the low turnout? Does it concern you? What does it tell you about the fall elections? Ogie.
I'm not at all. Those numbers are about typical, the way it runs, but I think it'll pick up a lot during midterms. They're always lower than the national. But yeah, we've got to get the turnout is going to be key.
Don.
Yeah, I was not surprised either. And this primary in North Carolina, it was on a date we had not normally had a primary. I mean, it wasn't a first Tuesday, it wasn't a fourth Tuesday, it was kind of in the middle of the month.
Right.
And then I do think in our current climate, we have a lot of extremism sort of pushing on both ends, and that seems to be a lot of the people who voted. So yeah, I think November is going to be a different story. It'll be a much more moderate and hopefully a larger turnout.
Keith, older people voting and just about twice the numbers of people under 40, but still 81% of us didn't even care to show up. What's your take on all this?
My take is that we are out here complaining, but we're not actually participating in the democratic process. But I think it's going to be a low turnout this year. the empathy for people voting and the different politicians are at an all-time low. And I think we're going to have to get people engaged in the communities in order for them to really come out. But I don't see it happening this year.
Still talking about voting very quickly. 2 recent polls show Congressman Ted Budd ahead by either 2 points or up to 8 points ahead of Judge Sherry Beasley. Very quickly, don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but if the voting was held today, what do you think? Who wins this for U.S. Senate, Beasley or Budd?
Well, that poll's a little bit dated. I'd like to see it after the hearings. I bet she's gained a lot by then.
Don.
I think it's going to be very close, but I probably think Beasley's going to win.
Keith.
I think Beasley's going to win.
All right. Finally, in an effort to cut back on littering, Sweden now has talking trash cans set up all over the country. As a bonus, the new receptacles make sexually suggestive comments to the person who deposits his trash. Guys, would you be more likely to throw your trash away if the trash can talks dirty to you? Ogie.
Those crazy Swedes. I swear, I don't know, Jim. Yeah, I don't know.
Don, would you?
Well, I don't know. Trashy talk to trash can. I mean, it makes me. I'd kind of want to see what's going to say.
Keith, what do you think?
Man, if you threw something in the trash, why do you want to talk sexual to you? You need to move on, Jim. Just move on.
I didn't say I was interested in this.
Move on, man. Move on.
I didn't pick this.
On the trash.
I didn't
Throw
pick
it away.
this.
It's gone.
Yeah, you're mean. Did anybody tell you you're mean? That's all the time we have. Oh, except for this, and this is another true story. In New Zealand, they're very worried about methane pollution, so they have now imposed a new tax on livestock. So every time a goat, a cow, a donkey, a horse passes gas, they actually put a new tax on the passing of that gas. One farmer asked what he thinks of the new gas tax. He said it stinks. So for all of us here that talk trash, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next time.